we're talking metaphysics and physics all at once. I believe these two things should never have been separated. Hi there, my name is Toby and this is Body Efficiency Training. On this channel I talk about my ideas about the body, internal body dynamics, about the chi energy, the life force or the ether, and I also talk about how we can all get along and build a better world. I'm also working on a better world project, and that is a blockchain ecosystem project. But what I say on this channel is really still separate from that project. If you're watching this channel because you're interested in this project, the blockchain project that is called Entify, please be reassured that that is separate from what I'm saying on this channel. On this channel I'm sharing my own ideas, and they are quite unique. They're far out. No one else is saying quite what I'm saying, and I'm well and truly aware of that. But I hope you bear with me and listen to me, because I am trying to offer a simple explanation of the universe, how it works and how we work in the universe. That has been my life's goal. I think about this, I've always thought about this, and this channel is really the result of my whole life thinking about this stuff and training it. I've not only studied it, I've practiced, I've done internal training, I've worked on myself to try and understand this. So that is the only backup I can say for what I'm saying. There's no backup. I've got no backup. It's just me and my ideas. Saying that, it's very similar to Taoist philosophy, so that is a sort of a backup. And in the Taoist philosophy, I recommend Mantak Chia. I studied a lot with him. So Mantak Chia, what he says is a backup to a lot of what I'm saying. And also there's a guy called Ken Wheeler. I'll leave the links below to his channel. And he's, I would argue, the world's foremost expert on magnetism and Tesla's physics. So he's studied all of Tesla's work. So this is a very, very well educated guy. And his channel is called Theoria Apophasis. Again, I'll leave the links below. And he is the closest thing to back up on my Tesla's physics, because a lot of what I'm saying will also come from what he says. But I'm still a bit different. And so what I'm trying to offer is a complete holistic model of the universe. And I've done a whole lecture series talking about this, but in this video I want to sum it up very quickly, as quick as I possibly can, so you'll get an idea of what on earth I'm talking about on this channel. So you've got to bear with me, empty your mind and come with me on a little journey, because it is a journey. I'm talking about things perhaps in a way that's never been talked about before. So let's begin. Let's begin. So where do we start? Let's say, so remember, this is a holistic model. We're talking metaphysics and physics all at once. I believe these two things should never have been separated. So let's start off with the totality. The universe is ether. It is chi, life force. It is one grand unified field of energy. But this energy is unmanifest energy. It is metaphysical energy. So the field of ether is non-physical. It is pre-manifest. It's not yet manifest. So you can think of this field of ether, of chi, as being everywhere, and it's also nowhere. It's everywhere and nowhere both at the same time. It's non-physical. And then how does this chi, this field of ether, become physical? Well, there is a disturbance. In the field of ether, there is a disturbance, a vibration, and this vibration becomes electromagnetism. So how does this work? Well, the field of ether, we can also call this consciousness, we can call this spirit, we can call this mathematics. This underlying field is really mathematics itself. Because what is mathematics? Mathematics is information. It is a process of logic, and that is not physical. It's not physical. And mathematics is true, it is infallible, it's going to be true throughout all time and all space, and mathematics is true whether we have discovered it yet or not. It's always true, it's always there. And this is the underlying law that governs the field of ether, the chi, the life force. And to have mathematics, you must have consciousness. You cannot have mathematics without consciousness. Consciousness must be there to think about it, to express it, That process of logic is done by consciousness. So the field of ether, the underlying field, is mathematics. It is spirit. It is consciousness. And this consciousness has a desire. It has a desire. This desire creates the vibration, and this vibration is expressed, and it is expressed by creating energy. Remember, the ether is unmanifest energy, not yet manifest. So this desire creates a vibration, and this vibration is energy manifesting itself. And we can call this energy manifesting as dielectricity. Dielectricity. Di meaning two. It's a charge. Now, it's not a positive and negative charge so much as a charge and a discharge. In other words, there's a potential of energy being created. It's like an elastic band being stretched out. A potential is being created. And now this is a limited potential, because the ether is unlimited. It's not yet physical. Vibration, a disturbance, creates a limited potential like an elastic band stretching, and this we could call dielectricity. But the moment this dielectricity is created, immediately it wants to pull back. Just like an elastic band, it wants to go back to inertia. It wants to disappear again. And the force of this dielectricity wanting to return back to inertia, to disappear again, is called magnetism. So now we have dielectricity and magnetism. And this is in itself a field, a pure fluid field of energy. But this now we could call manifest, because we can measure this. We can see the effects of this. Remember, the ether, the chi, you cannot see physical effects of this. You cannot detect it physically. That's why it's been dismissed. It's metaphysics. It's spirit. Now, electromagnetism, you can measure it. You can see the effects of it. You can't actually see it. It's pure fluid. It's a field. It's still a grand unified field. And that is electromagnetism. But it is measurable and it is manifest. So here's the distinction. Now, from the electromagnetic field, this is a vibration. This is a frequency. And there is a delay. This is very important. There is a delay. First we have dielectricity created, a potential, and then a moment after, the force to put it back together again is created, magnetism. So there's a pulse between these two things, between electricity and magnetism. There is a frequency. And this is called, I think it's the Lamore frequency. There is a name for it in physics. It's the frequency of the magnetic field itself. So it has its own frequency. And this, the delay between the dielectric and the magnetic is directly connected to the mathematics of the golden ratio. It's in the proportion of the golden ratio. Very, very important. And the Lamore frequency is, again, I don't think anyone else has said this, so only I'm saying this, but the Lamore frequency is something like 4.2 gigahertz or terahertz, something like that. It's a big number, but what's important is 4.2 or 42, and that is a very important number, again, to do with the golden ratio. Now, if you look at Ken Wheeler, he has discovered what I call the grand unified field theory. So again, he's the only one to say that. He has discovered it because he discovered it in Pythagoras' writings. So he didn't invent it, but I believe Ken Wheeler is the guy that realized how important this is. And the formula is 1 over phi to the power negative 3. It's a statement, a mathematical statement, 1 over phi, phi being the Greek letter representing the golden ratio, to the power negative 3. And that number works out to be 4.21 something, 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 something. It's an irrational number. So I believe that number is actually the Lamore frequency, the ultimate frequency of the magnetic field itself. It varies, but that I think will be the one it is trying to be. That is the basis of it. The mathematics of the golden ratio governs the entire universe. It governs the creation of the electromagnetic field, and it governs the creation of life and growth. So we have pure spirit, ether, consciousness, has a desire, creates a vibration. This creates a electromagnetic field, which creates manifestation. Everything builds up from there. So this electromagnetic field is a vibration, it's a frequency, and it goes faster and faster. At a particular frequency, a particular speed, the wave will loop back on itself. So at a particular very, very high frequency electromagnetism, it will loop back, it will create a standing wave, a spherical standing wave. And this is a particle. So there is only one solution for a standing wave, because there is only one field. There is only one field of energy, the dielectric field or the electromagnetic field, whatever you want to call it. So there's only one standing wave solution for that, which means there is only one particle. So a particle is created because of the standing wave of this field. And the particle is called a neutron. This is a neutron. Again, only I'm saying this, but Ken Wheeler can back me up on this. He says this in a very slightly different way. That means there are no more particles. There's only one particle. Everything else is just energy and interference patterns in energy. But there's only one real particle, because there's only one standing wave solution to the electromagnetic field, and that particle is called the neutron. So now we've got the creation of matter. So that is mass. But mass, the illusion of mass, is created by this spherical wave, the magnetic field. It's like the magnetic field is dominant and created this ball, this sphere. So that creates mass. And remember, gravity is all about mass. But if mass is created by the electromagnetic field, gravity itself is still only the electromagnetic field. And I talk about that in my lecture series in more detail. But I'm not going to go into that now. I'm just making the statement of the model. This is the model of the universe. There is the ether, unmanifest metaphysics. This becomes electromagnetism, manifest field. That becomes the neutron, a particle, a single particle. And the neutron is a perfect balance. But that can also get knocked off balance. Once that loses its balance, it becomes a proton. But a proton and a neutron are the same particle, just slightly different balance of that particle. So the proton is out of balance. That means it's now got a so-called charge. It's a positively charged particle. Now remember, there is no real positive and negative charge. There is only a thing called charge and discharge. The appearance of a voltage and that voltage wanting to return back to nothing, discharge again. So the proton has now got this dielectric aspect has overtaken the magnetic. In the neutron, the magnetic field is dominant, so it's neutral. In the proton, the dielectric is dominant. In other words, this charge is dominant, and that is dominant over the magnetic field. But they're both essentially the same thing. So now the proton's got a charge, and it requires a bit of energy to balance that charge. So it attracts what we call an electron. But the electron is not a particle. Not a particle, it is just a quantity of energy. There is a particular amount of energy that a proton requires to balance it. So that we call an electron, but it's not a particle. It is a quanta of energy, a particular amount of energy that is required. Very important to make that distinction, because modern science talks about particles, and we're not talking about particles, we're talking about fields, pure fluid fields. Electricity is pure fluid. This is Tesla's physics. So now we've got an atom. We've got a hydrogen atom, proton and an electron, and we've also got neutrons. So from here, all other substances can build up. Remember, every other substance is simply a compound of hydrogen. So it all builds up from here. So now we've got the whole material world can build up. And what's interesting now is we've got matter, we've got the material world, but we've still got spirit. We've still got this unmanifest ether. It's still there in the background. So this spirit of consciousness, this field of consciousness, can now interact with the material world and create life. We create life. Life is the interaction of the ether, the pure spirit, with the material world. In other words, the world made up of substances that have now come from this neutron, which is the standing wave of the electromagnetic field, which comes from the ether, a disturbance in the ether. So it's still all one and the same thing, but it looks like now we've got two separate worlds. We've got a spirit world and we've got a material world. But they're still the same world. They're just like two extensions of the same energy, the chi, the ether. And life builds up in here. And life, again, is governed by the mathematics of the golden ratio. So still, the golden ratio is the law of the universe. And I would say the grand unified field theory of the universe is very simple. It is only this. It is phi. Phi. Phi is written like this, the Greek letter phi. And there's a capital version like this. This is the golden ratio. That's it. That is the statement of the grand unified field theory. And this is a holistic theory because we're including life. And now from here we can look at and build up everything in the universe. Everything builds up from here. Layers of complexity build up, build up, build up. And us as living beings are very, very high layers of complexity. There's so much going on in a living being. That's why it's impossible to actually create a living being. A living being has to be created from the cosmos, because from the ether, because of the layers of complexity. We can build a robot, and a robot may have, I don't know, 1 million layers of complexity, but a living body will have a trillion layers of complexity that we cannot hope to reproduce. So life is unique, very special, and we must value it very highly. And then we as living beings, we are a combination of this ether, this spirit, this consciousness, and this material realm, this body. This body is made up of atoms, which is made up of neutrons, which are made up of electromagnetism. So we are made up of ether, electromagnetism, but we're also physical. But what controls us, what makes us do anything, what makes us, we are creators, we can do something, is that we are also singularities of ether, singularities of chi, singularities of spirit. So the spirit itself has manifested a body that is me, but in the process of manifesting that body, it requires a certain amount of spirit itself. So I have to manifest a soul, a consciousness. And that consciousness can control or hold the body together. Because what is life? Life is a system of organization. All these things are organized together, and that organization is held together by my soul, a singularity of spirit, consciousness. That's what holds the whole thing together. So this channel, Body Efficiency Training, is all about building yourself up, finding coherence, building your body and building your soul, pulling them together again. Because if we can understand that's what we are a spiritual being holding this body together, then training or exercise becomes a process of helping that. So that's why the training I'm doing is it requires awareness. You've got to think about it, you've got to feel it. It's more about feeling and experimenting and analysing it yourself than it is about just doing exercise for the sake of it. It's about integrating your mind, body and spirit all together into a single unit and living your life from there. Now again, it's not a way of life, and I'm not telling you to copy me in any way, shape or form. In fact, I would actively say do not copy me. All I'm trying to do on this channel is share information, the thoughts I have. This is all theory, and it's theory that I am trying to follow. So I'm trying to do this stuff on the channel that I'm talking about. And it's very unusual stuff, very unusual. But it's based on this simple model of the universe. We are fluid beings of energy, beings of ether, and it's we living in this material universe, but they're one and the same thing. So I hope this made sense. Do leave me any questions or comments below, and do check out my homepage, look through my playlists, because you see I talk about this stuff in all different ways. But I think if you give me a chance, there should be some logic to what I'm saying. And your critical mind ought to be able to follow the logic and see whether this is useful information or not. So thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in any of these other videos here.